my aunt raised me ever since I was in kindergarten. And she passed away this past Friday. Been really thinking how someone passing is very hard to deal with, no matter who they are. Especially when you know them, when you love them, when you spent the majority of your life with them. And I was actually looking through my pictures. I actually have a lot of pictures, but not many of her. She actually, not really say she didn't like her picture taken. She loved to have her picture taken. She just didn't like to see the pictures that she was in. Kind of a weird thing, I know. But I actually looked through a lot of photo albums and different pictures that I had, and that's all I have. But I'm happy the ones I have. Actually, one of these, she's not even in. I'm just gonna show you so I can show you the people that's gonna be involved in this story. Basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at some of these pictures and just talk about her, my experiences with her, and just kind of give an idea of celebrating her life. But years I'm not really sure on, so forgive me if I can't say the year because I don't know all the years for all these. But this one, some of these will have years on them, so that because where they were developed, it will have the year. Like this one I know is from July of 91. 91, let's see, I was 10, 89, so I was 11. Most likely this was taken in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And this because every year my uncle would take us on vacation. My brother went this year. And this is her on the balcony. I remember this. Actually, there's a lot of years we went on vacation together. A lot of times we went to Myrtle Beach. And that's one of the places they love to go. I really enjoyed it too. I have a lot of fond memories of that place. Actually, when me and my wife got married, we went there on vacation. And she was surprised because I knew all the back roads and everything, because I had been there so many times. But this year, if I'm remembering correctly, I remember it was my cousin Ralphie and his friend Jeff, and we went there, and I remember them, like both of them had girlfriends. And I kind of remember them walking around flirting with girls. I remember there's actually a picture that I believe it was my aunt took of Ralphie and Jeff in the ocean talking to two girls. But you can't really make it out. It's because it's long distance away. We didn't have a zoom lens. I mean, it's like a point and shoot camera, like a little Kodak camera. Well, I don't think it's a point and shoot, but it's like an older style camera that they didn't take very good pictures. And that's how she tried to take a picture to blackmail them, basically just to tease them with. I believe this was the next year, though. See, but another story. I remember when we went, it's kind of those things. It's thinking back on it, kind of embarrasses yourself. She bought us these T-shirts there, like it says Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a souvenir T-shirt. And it's always like thinking back on it, like, why did I do this? But I actually wore it the next day, so I'm wearing the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina T-shirt in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I don't know, that always just struck me as funny when I think back on it, how the things I did. But she very rarely did she want to have her picture taken. Well, I mean, reverse that. She loved to have her picture taken. She's like my grandmother, her mom. They both liked to have their picture taken, but when they didn't want to see the picture after it was developed. They always thought, "Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I'm this. Oh, I'm that. My hair looked horrible." No. She was beautiful. I believe this was the next year, maybe 92. A lot of my family members came. It's my Aunt Barb, the one that passed away, my Aunt Cleta, Cleta's daughter Abby, my cousin, and my Aunt Shelby. They would kill me if they knew I was showing these pictures. If they see this, I'll probably have a phone call. Them saying, "I can't believe you showed us those pictures." But this is one of the few times that a lot of my family members came down for vacation that year. And we all played in the water, had a lot of fun. It's just, thinking back on it, I remember the trips to go to Myrtle Beach. We always drove. From where we're from, it took about 8 hours to get there if there's no traffic. When there's traffic, it'd be like 10 hours. And I always remember I would want my uncle to go to North Myrtle Beach and then drive down to South Myrtle Beach. And he never would. Because but I remember one year, this is after we've been a few times, and I'll take it back. I always didn't want to do it. It's after I got the internet, I would look up online how to get there. And the first year I looked up online, I looked up the directions how to get, just to drive directly into the hotel we were going, which I believe was at Patricia Grand. And I also looked how to drive to North Myrtle Beach and come down. And because going into South Myrtle Beach, it took you 2 hours to go a mile, because there's just so many people trying to get on that road that's beside the ocean to check into the hotel. Well, one year he was like, let's try it. And we went up to North Myrtle Beach and we drove, and the entire time I remember my aunt going, "This is going to take so much more time." And we drove all the way, and we got there really quick because everybody was trying to come directly in instead of going to North Myrtle Beach and coming down. I don't know if it's still that way. It may be, it may not. I believe this was also 92, I believe. This is also the year we actually, the Patricia Grand, you could walk to, I think it was called the Myrtle Beach Mall, and we would actually walk from the hotel to the Myrtle Beach Mall, and I'd go to the arcade, she'd go shopping, my brother, he'd either go to the arcade or he'd look around the mall. But I remember once we were going across and we saw a slot car store. Basically, it was a store, they actually had, if you remember what a slot car is, it's basically a car that has an electric motor in it but has no batteries. You put it on this track, and the track sends power through and charges. And you have this controller, and you pull a trigger, it makes the car go. And they had these big ones. I mean, they were probably, I'm not sure, they're really big. And we went in there, and we thought my brother wanted to do it. Well, but at that time, everybody was actually going to dinner, and it's like, well, we'll do it later. Well, the next day, my aunt, she took me and my brother to it, and we played on a slot car. She sat there and talked to because me and my brother were the only two in the place, and there was the lady behind the counter, and I believe it's her daughter. And because her daughter was around my age, maybe a little older, and she talked to the lady behind the counter, and me and my brother played on the slot cars for probably over an hour. And we're on vacation. She could have went to the beach. She could have done any of that. Instead, she took me and my brother to this place so me and him could have fun. This is probably embarrassed my brother. I wish these had dates on them. I don't know when this was taken, but this is me, my brother, and my aunt, and my brother's stuffed animal puppy. But yeah, this is in our living room, and I have no idea why the picture was taken. I don't think it was a special event. It's probably just it was Tuesday and we had a camera, and I'm not even sure who took the picture. But I just like it because it's one of the few pictures I have of all of us together. And this is a picture of me, my brother, and my uncle, her husband, is named Ralph. My brother, he actually is kind of funny. He was short, really thin, and then in high school he got really big. He got overweight, and then like over the course of 1 year, he went from this tall and this big around to being this tall and like really thin. And now my brother has been lifting weights for many years, and now he's this tall and his arms are that big around. But I'm not sure if you can see in the background. I'll actually be showing the images of these up on the screen. In the background, that's the car that I rode in between my two cousins, Ralphie and Tommy. They are both over 6 foot tall. Tommy's really tall. We drove to Daytona Beach, Florida in that car. It's like I can't remember how long that drive was. It was very long. But they're really big. I mean, I don't mean like fat big, but just big boys. I mean, I think one cousin's 6'3", 6'4", the other one's like 6'7", and they're in the back of this car. And I was like 5, 6 years old. So I think it was like in '86 when we did that, maybe '88. I have to look. I actually have the ticket stub to when we went to Disney World, still yet from when I went there. And I was hoping I couldn't find any pictures of me. I think these are a lot of pictures I got from her before I moved to where I am now, and before I went to college. And she had a lot of these pictures, so a lot of these I don't have because she gave me these. But yeah, it's kind of funny. We rode to Florida in that car. But this is a picture. This is in Myrtle Beach when we were coming back. Well, let's see. No date on the back of that. Okay, but this is a picture of my cousin, his wife, their kids, okay. My aunt had one child, his name Ralphie, and he married Debbie, and they had 2 kids, Caitlin and Damon. So this is a picture of Ralphie, Damon, Caitlin, my brother Sam, Barb, Ralph, and Debbie. And this is because they came to Myrtle Beach with us, but they had to leave earlier than we did. So this is them actually going to the airport, and this is when they were going to the airport to leave to go back home. And they just there's actually I got quite a few pictures of them when they left, but Barb didn't want to be in any of them, so I think this is the only one of that year when we went that she actually took a picture of it. This is kind of funny. I'm not showing the one I'm in, but this is my brother and my aunt in Myrtle Beach, I believe. Again, a lot later on. This is probably in, oh gosh, this might have been 99, oh maybe 2000, 2001 maybe. My brother and my aunt, he has beads around his neck because there were people driving down the street kind of like Mardi Gras, and girls were pulling their shirts up for beads. And my brother was hoping to see some boobs. She kind of chuckled and laughed about it. She was like, "You're not going to get to see any." But yeah, because he had those on, and my uncle, he was like, if you see anybody, come let me know. But my uncle, she would laugh because knowing my uncle, he didn't stay up late. I mean, this is during July. It got into dark at like 9:30, and he's asleep by like 8:30. And so me and my brother, we just kind of went out and walked up and down the strip, talking to people and like going to the arcade and everything. And we're across the street. It was loud. There were a lot of people out, a lot of people partying. So my uncle kept waking up, and we had a beachfront hotel, but you could walk to the front because the parking. Were we in the Camelot that year? I believe. If you know what the Camelot is in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, the parking structure is inside basically the parking structure in the hotel is the same thing. So you drive up that, you park, and you can your room may be a few feet from it. So you could actually look out of your room, like walk out of your room, and then walk to the side because there's a big opening where the parking structure is, and you could look down. And me and my brother, across the street, there was a hotel, like a cheaper hotel, and it was a lot older, but there were a lot of college students that were staying in there. And I remember there was probably the third floor. I've got a picture up, but it's so blurry you can't see anything, and that my camera had no zoom. But there were these two girls that were standing on the balcony who kept flashing people as they drive by. It's funny because people were trying to throw beads up to because there's like the road, the sidewalk, a fence, the pool, and then the hotel. And they were on the third floor. There are people trying to throw things from their car window up to that balcony. And they never made it. So if they were lucky, if they made it over that fence and it landed in the pool. But after a while, my uncle, he came out and he was like, "It is so loud out here. What in the world are these idiots doing?" And he looked across the street and he saw those two girls. He was like, "So this is why you guys are out here." My aunt, she come outside. She was like, "What in the world are you guys out here doing?" And she looked and she saw that there's like the different people, all the stupid stuff going on. And she was like, oh. She kind of laughed at the people, how stupid they were acting and everything. Because, I mean, she didn't get mad. Well, I take it back. She got mad about midnight when all this was still going on. And she was like, "I want to go to sleep." But my uncle, though, after a while, he went back in, and once he fell asleep, he didn't wake up. But this is a picture of my aunt when we went to college. I believe this is. Yeah, I believe this is the first. Yeah, I believe this is like almost the day of, or maybe not long after we had moved in. She had bought the house, and me and my brother stayed there and kept everything up. She really liked the house. It was really nice. They'd come. It was a place they'd like to come, and it was quiet because it was in this neighborhood that is a lot of families. There's not really college students partying, but I remember for the longest time when we'd come to college, she would come down and like sometimes stay a week and basically cook and clean for us and everything. And eventually she got kind of tired of that, so she'd stay a lot longer back home instead of coming to where me and my brother were in college. So it'd be like 2 weeks go by, and she'd call us and be like, "All right, well, I'm coming down." She wouldn't tell us the day before; she'd tell us the day of. So it means we had 3 hours, because it took 3 hours to get from home to where we were from to where we were going to college. And me and my brother's a mad dash. We'd basically try to clean the entire house, try to wash every dish. We'd have 2 weeks worth of stuff piled up. We were two college guys living together, and my brother was a slob, and I wasn't much better. So yeah, we'd wash the dishes, like we'd pile the dishwasher full, turn it on, and they'd still be dishes that didn't fit in there. Because we would run the dishwasher, don't get me wrong, but we wouldn't run it every day. So then we'd wash the things that couldn't fit in the dishwasher, and I'd throw some clothes in the washing machine. You can't wash many clothes in 3 hours. But let's see, we try to just anything most, but we didn't let food sit around and rot. But the garbage can might be getting a little full, something like we'd take the garbage out, and most of the time we wouldn't have, because you're supposed to cut the grass every week. Most of the time we wouldn't have cut the grass yet. So we would get out there and we'd cut the grass really quick, and we'd eat and basically make the house look like we weren't just complete another slobs, which we kind of were. Oh, another funny story. I remember, because if you look at the picture, the couch has really flowery, and there's the painting. It's got this, basically, if you can't really see the painting, well, you kind of can, but it's a old style, like women, all these big dresses and the hats and everything, all having dinner, and so it's very feminine looking. The house was very decorated, very femininely, and I remember, I think it was the first time I actually had some people come over to a study group, and it was Christy, my wife. At the time, we were not dating. We were just had a class together. This another girl, I can't remember her name, and I believe it was her boyfriend. And we came over. We were going to study together. And she walked in, and she stopped and looked around, because there's actually pigs. There are pictures of Caitlin and Damon, her grandchildren, up. And she was looking around, and she was like, "This does not look like the house of a straight heterosexual male." And I was like, and I just chuckled. I was like, "No, it's my aunt's house. I'm just staying here to take care of it while I'm going to school." She's like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "I was wondering. I didn't think the couch was your style." But yeah, it's kind of funny, because that was just, I never even thought about it, because the entire time I'd been alive, she'd always decorated the house, and that was the style that every house I lived with her since I was in kindergarten, so her house was decorated that way. This house she decorated this way, so it's just normal to me. This, I'm trying to remember what was going on with this picture. And it's not got a date on it, but this is a picture of my Aunt Barb and my Aunt Shelby. I don't remember what it was going on. I know something was, but this was after, I believe they had redid their living room. I can't remember what it was, but they had redone their house, and she had put this up, that china cabinet thing, and she didn't like it. She was like, she had those plates in it and everything, and she was like, "I don't like that." But I want to take a picture of them, because I don't remember what was going on. This was probably around 2001, I believe, or 99, something around that time. Oh, what was going on? I don't remember. Trying to look and see if any of these have a. Yes, that was in 2002. Okay. If you notice, sometimes she doesn't smile a lot in a lot of pictures. I don't know why. She never really would. I don't think she really liked her smile for some reason. But this, okay, if I remember correctly, I believe this was my high school graduation day. This is my aunt and my brother. We went to a private school. It was a Baptist school, and so you had to have these school uniforms. You had to have the white shirt, black pants, belt, and the women all had to wear dresses. That's my brother, my aunt, and this is me and my aunt. I have my tie on. And I do believe that was the day that I graduated high school. You can see it has the TV in the corner here. That is a large rear projection standard def TV. I watched a lot of Star Trek on that TV. But if most of these pictures you see, there's a picture of Caitlin in this one. And then right here is a picture of Damon and Caitlin on the wall. And I'm trying to see if there's another one. Yeah, I know in this picture, I'm most likely the one that took the picture, the one where we are in the house we lived in when we went to college. I believe that if you looked behind me, so basically, like I'm taking the picture, behind me would have been a entertainment center, and on one side was Caitlin, on the other side was Damon. She loved her grandkids. She was one of the best people that I've ever met. She took me and my brother in. She raised me ever since I was in kindergarten. My brother, she raised him. Like he didn't live with her the same time I did. He came over like a year later. But she did. She took us in. My uncle. I'm not blood related to him, but he took care of me, and he raised me like his own. She helped. She helped. I still have my first vehicle that they bought for me. It is. I still have it. It's a S10. It's like a 98 model, I believe, maybe. Yeah, 98 S10 step side, and I loved it. It's a great truck. I mean, great truck for a college student. It's a 4-cylinder engine. Only bad thing is it had a tape player, manual windows, manual door locks. I mean, granted, it's a 2-seater truck, a tiny S10, so I could just reach over like this and unlock that door or lock it. So it wasn't like you really needed a automatic lock, but rolling that passenger side window down was difficult if you weren't stopped. So if you were driving, you couldn't do it. But like stop at a red light, you're like, okay, I'll put it in park, keep my foot on the brake, reach over, you can get about that far down before the light turned green. Yeah, they helped pay for my college, helped pay for my brother's college. They bought my brother his car. My brother. I think they bought him 2 cars. They bought him a silver, I think it was silver or gray, 5.0 Mustang, like a 2002 model, I believe. But they didn't want him driving it and scratching it up here because my brother waited till he was like 20 to get his license. I mean, he had me to drive him around. He had my aunt to drive him around. So he really didn't need to get his license. But yeah, and so what they did is they bought him another car, a cheap used car. It's like a Chevy something, I can't remember. It was a really cheap car, and to take it back, it wasn't a cheap car. It was a nice car. It was used, but they didn't have to pay a lot of money for it because it wasn't a car. It wasn't in high demand or anything. But yeah, they bought me a 4-wheeler. Wow, in a 92 model 250X that I still have. I mean, they were my parents. They brought me up and raised me. And I'm trying to remember the good times and celebrate her life. I don't want to dwell on that she's gone and think about, because no matter what, you always could have done something else. You could have spent more time with somebody. You could have done a lot of things. But you can't do everything. So remember the person that they were. I'm trying to, because like everybody has arguments with people. We had arguments. A lot of them were because I was a teenager and probably I, nice way to say about a teenager, a jerk. I mean, when you're a teenager, you think you know it all, but you really don't. So, but yeah, so we had arguments. Everybody does, or every child and parent does. But the good times outweighed the bad drastically. Well, in my opinion, I hope to her they did too. Now, she was there the day my son was born. I called them, said, "Hey, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, this is kind of a funny story. The day my son was due, she hadn't went into labor, so she had a doctor's appointment that day, so they could see why she wasn't went into labor yet. So we go to the doctor's appointment. My wife's kind of feeling funny. We go to the doctor, and she had been on call for like 16 hours, and she's like, "If you have him today, I'm not going to be here," because the doctor said you're kind of starting labor, but you're not. So he said it may be tomorrow or the next day, but go ahead, just in case. Go have lunch, and then come back. So was like, okay. So we go have lunch. We come back. We walk. I drive up the parking structure. We walk down. We walk into the place, and she feels funny, and the doctor that's basically taking over for our normal doctor was there, and he examined her, and he was like, "You're dilated 4 centimeters. Go over across," because like the OBG, I can't remember what it's called, but where the baby doctor was, where she went to get that, OBGYN maybe, I can't remember, something like that. So we walk across it because basically it's here, and it's in a different building, like basically right beside of it. So you walk in that building, we go up to whatever floor it was for the babies, and you basically push a because there's people behind this glass, like to get into the area where the babies are, it is very difficult. You can't just walk in because they don't want anybody just walking out with your child. So she goes up to the glass, pushes the button, says, "I'm dilated to 4 centimeters." And the woman, she went, "Go over there at that door, push that button." Because you had to go up to this door, push a button, they ring you in. She ran over to the lady that's going to ring her in and just pushed it to ring her. So we got in, went to the desk. They said, "Okay, you sit down." And they got her into a room. And we didn't know we didn't realize she was going into labor, but she went into labor. And then, so her phone, because we didn't think about it. We didn't, because I had all the bag, my laptop, had my camera, my phone charger, and everything in a bag. And I even told them, I was like, we don't need it. So I didn't bring it. And what happened was, my phone had enough charge for me to call my aunt and uncle, and I think hers had enough charge to call her parents. And they died almost right after that. So they know, and they're on their way, and they want to be there for it. So my aunt and uncle drove from my hometown 3 hours to get here. They didn't know if she'd had the baby before they got here or not, but they wanted to be here with us for it. So I can't call them or let them know or anything because our phones are dead. So to let them know about anything that's going on, I had to keep going out to the lobby and talking to them. And I tell her dad, I was like, when you guys come over, can you guys go back to our house? 'Cause they had a key to our house. And grab this bag and my camera, because they're both sitting beside each other on the counter. He's like, yeah. Also, he needed to let the dogs out because they had been here all day and not been outside. So he gets back, because I wanted to get back before we had our son. So he gets back. I go back there. I plug my phone up. I plug hers up. But during the whole labor process, we're not looking at our phones. We're not paying attention to them. We're focusing on having the baby. So my aunt and uncle get there, and they have to sit out there for, let's see. So I called about 12. They left about 12:31, 2, 3, 4. So at 4 o'clock. So they're out there from 4 o'clock to like 11:30 at night, and in the lobby waiting. And we're not paying attention to our phones or anything. I keep going out there every so often, giving them updates, and then we have the baby. And well, actually, I take it back. They had to wait out there a lot longer than that because they had to clean the baby. We took pictures, and they did the whole thing where he lays on the chest, and I hold him and everything. And it's maybe probably 1:30 a.m. before we actually get rolled out, before we take her to the room. And they start putting her on the chair, and she's holding Adrian. And I go out there really quickly and tell them, hey, Christy's about to come out. They're like, you had the baby? You didn't tell us? I'm like, yeah, we had the baby, and I didn't want to leave yet. So, and because our phones were pretty much dead and they were plugged up, I didn't. But so I showed them pictures, and they saw the baby and everything, and we went back to the room. But it's kind of funny though. But me calling them saying, hey, we're having Adrian, and they literally dropped everything, jumped in the car, and came here. And they're my parents for our wedding. They set where the parents set for the groom's side. I think it's funny. The tuxedos for our wedding. I joke about this. We didn't. My wife did everything. I got to choose one thing, and that was the color of the vests that me, the groomsman, and my uncle wore. Not the style, but the color. And my uncle, he was like, I like this tuxedo because it's the first one he ever wore that didn't making me itchy. But yeah, he was. So yeah, they're for my wedding. They're there for my for college and high school graduation. They were there for my 8th grade graduation. And I think did I have a 6th grade graduation? No. Yeah, they're there for all of them. They always, it's sad that she's gone, but I'm trying not to dwell on that she is gone. What I'm trying to do is think about all the times we had and the good times. We had a lot of good times. Me, my brother, my aunt, my uncle, my cousin. My cousin was there, he lived there with us until he got married, which I think I started in high school. So basically from the time I was in kindergarten to high school, it's like I had 2 brothers. I had an older brother, which is my cousin Ralphie, and my younger brother, Sam. So it's so kind of funny. It's just, you think about it and wow, it was me, my brother, my older brother. But yeah, I'm trying to understand talking about the death in the family is very personal, but there's things but with stories of these pictures, some of them, there's stories I can share, and some of them I don't want to share because they are, to me, a little too personal. But this is me talking about my aunt, celebrating her life. I know she was one of the kindest people I ever met. But one thing, this is basically, if you knew her, everybody knew this. If you're around her, you were never going to be hungry, because the one thing she always would do, she'd always make sure you were fed. I remember growing up, the food was everywhere. She wanted you to eat. I remember my friends would come over, And my friend David would come over, and every time he's like, "You want anything to eat? Would you like something?" I mean, always, constantly, "You want anything to eat?" I remember once, I think it was for David. I think it's for his birthday. He hadn't been to a University of Kentucky football game, and he and that and they knew about that, so they invited him. Say, "Hey, you want to? We're going to go to Lexington, go shopping." He's like, "Okay, yeah." And we about midway that they're going, they said, "Oh yeah, by the way, we're going to go to a UK football game." And he was like, "Oh wow!" But see, my friend David, he never really wore a jacket. I mean, he had jackets, but he didn't wear them very often. So he didn't bring one. And right before we stopped at, I can't remember where we stopped, and they were like, "It's gonna be cold here," and they bought him like a UK zip up hoodie for his birthday, and they took him to the UK football game, and they did this because he was my friend, and they liked him. It was, I mean, to think that somebody's aunt and uncle would take their nephew and their nephew's friend and their other nephew, my brother, all to a UK football game. The odd thing, I don't like to watch sports. I hate going to sporting events. I don't like going to football games or basketball games or anything like that. So they knew that David wanted to go. They knew my brother wanted to go. Me, I couldn't have cared less. So taking me was kind of a, not really torture, but I got to hang out with my friend, and we did all that, and that was great. But I do that because I remember I remember my aunt saw him out years later. I mean, he had a daughter that was probably his daughter was playing in a fifth grade basketball game. So this was 15 years after that, and he was talking to her. He said, "Yeah, I remember you taking me to UK football game and buying me the jersey and buying me the hoodie." And she was like, and she remembered it, but to him that really meant a lot. And she was like, "Wow." I mean, she didn't think that he would think that much of it, because she just did it because she's trying to. She liked David, but yeah, she touched a lot of people and cared a lot about people. Just, she did everything she could to make you feel comfortable, no matter what. I think the only thing that she didn't like animals in the house. I remember, actually, we had a cat, and it had kittens. So I think it had four kittens, and we kept them. So we had 5 cats, which I don't think that she liked too much, but because me and my brother, we loved them, she let us keep them. But they would jump on my windowsill, and she knew what was going on. Because what I would do is I'd open my window up, and they'd come in at night, and I'd pet on them and play with them. And if she heard them, she'd get mad, and I'd get in trouble and everything. But I wouldn't always do it. It'd be every so often. I remember sometimes she would actually knock on my door, like my bedroom door, and I'd say, "Yeah," and she'd say, "You better not have those cats in there," because she'd hear like something, and like one of them meow, or she'd hear like rustling or something in my room, and most of the time it was me looking through my closet for something, because my room, we had a lot of stuff, like my video games and everything. I had all those in my room, so like, okay, I'm looking for a controller, or I'm looking for a game that's in my closet, so I'd be rustling around trying to find it, and she thought I'd brought one of the cats in, and she'd be like, "Open that blind up." And I'd open my blind, and sure enough, one of those cats be up on that. on that windowsill looking at me going, meow, meow, because they wanted in to get petted. She's like, you had that cat in here, didn't you? I was like, no, if I had the cat in here, it wouldn't be up there. It'd be on the ground. But I would. Sometimes if she'd knock on my door, I'd quickly open the window up and push the cat out, close it back. But yeah, she's like, what took you so long? I was listening, I had my headphones on, I was listening to music. But anyways, I want to stop here. My aunt was very special to me. She was my mom. And I'm very sad that she's no longer here. And that I've never went to talk with her. But I was there with her when she passed. I was actually at work, and they called me, and I was fortunate enough to make it there about an hour before she passed. It's not easy to see someone you love pass like that, and I don't know if she knew that anybody was there or not. She'd had a lot of issues in their final days, but it is comforting to know that she was surrounded by her family and her loved ones, and that she did go peacefully. But hope everybody enjoyed this little trip down memory lane and the celebration of my aunt's life. Talk to everybody later.